Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today I'm covering Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 4. This is episode 8, 9, and 10. So as we know, Season 5 comes out really soon, so I'm going to try to get these episodes out. And this is combining the 3 episodes that were just so good, so I can't wait to discuss them with you. And here we go. So right off the bat on this first episode, episode 8, we get a flash that something huge is coming. It's going down between Candace and Ashley, and you see Candace having to be restrained by Chris and waving around a butter knife. So I was just excited to see what the heck happens there. So it starts out 1 week earlier, and Chris and Candace are sitting around, and Chris is talking about launching a cookbook. Candace is saying she needs more space. She's ready to not be in this house. Chris says that's another reason he wants to get his cookbook going. So they're going to have all the ladies over to test the recipes he's planning to put in there. Candace isn't sure if she should include Ashley or not. And Chris says she'll have the best feedback since she owns a restaurant with Michael. Woo, bad decision. So then we see Gizelle taking a walk with Robyn and Ashley. They talk about having just gotten back from New Orleans. Ashley talks about performing at the Virginia Gay Pride Festival coming up. Ashley talks about Monique's rainbow party. Gizelle talks about what Candace said about Ashley giving the speech and that she didn't believe that it was genuine. Candace apparently said it was fake and fraud and that Michael's tears were fake. And Gizelle talks about Candace telling her about Monique calling Katie Amistad. We have Karen and her husband Ray. They're going to a dance class. They're trying to make each other the priority. Then we have Monique, who's doing a maternity photo shoot at 27 weeks pregnant. And she is ethereal. I cannot believe how gorgeous she is. These pictures are incredible. I felt so yucky at 27 weeks and I did not want to have my picture taken at all. So these pictures, I'm so jealous. She looks absolutely gorgeous. She has Ashley over. Monique is trying to share this journey with her and they're trying to recover their friendship. The pictures are just incredible. Monique says she believes in true forgiveness and she doesn't want to rehash things. Ashley says she understands and she respects Monique. We have Gizelle, who's taking her mom out to see a house that she's interested in. She is going to put a bid on the house. The house itself is kind of run down, but it's got 1.5 acres of the most beautiful land. She feels like this is where she'll find peace, and she wants to fix it up and make it hers. We go over to Ashley and Michael's house. He is just such a creep, especially with what's coming up. He's being super weird. They're moving the pool table. Apparently, it's a big step for him. They're talking about, again, working on this family. They're trying to have a baby. They talk about the baby that they lost. Ashley tells Michael she's going to go over to Candace's house for a dinner party. And Michael says, "What do you mean Candace's house? Don't you mean Candace's mom's house?" Can't stand Michael, but found that funny. We see a moment here with Robyn and Juan and their sons. They are making breakfast for her in bed, which was a really sweet moment. She reveals that the kids figured out about the divorce by Googling them. Robyn wants to figure it out and see if they should remarry. Monique and Candace meet up for lunch. So they're talking about that Candace had told everybody that Monique was saying that Katie looks like Amistad. And it was Gizelle that Candace said it to. Candace is trying to play it down. She's trying to blame Gizelle, and that's not right. Candace is the one spreading it around. Monique says it was brought to her like Candace threw her under the bus. Candace says that it felt judgmental. Monique says no. So they seem to make up and move on. From there, we go on to Candace and Chris's house, and they're working to get ready for the ladies to come over for the cookbook foods. Robyn to camera says, "Candace's mom's house is really cute. She did good. Candace and her mom and Chris." Gizelle and Robyn try Chris's food. They say it's excellent and better than sex. They're already trash talking Ashley. Robyn says it's strange that Candace has such a hard-on for Ashley's life. I totally agree with that. Candace says, you mentioned penises at Ashley's event. They were talking about restaurant stuff and sausages, and it came up that Michael wanted to suck a sausage. So Candace dropped in front of them, and Robyn says she thought she was drunk and misunderstood, but that she had heard it too. Candace says she tried to be a good friend. Yeah, right. Robyn says she heard him say, yeah, I'd suck his D. Robyn says he disappeared for 30 minutes or so. Chris pipes up and says he actually heard it too, saying that he wanted to suck a sausage. Robyn says, no, he said he wanted to suck one of her husband's D's. Gizelle says she understands why Candace questions Ashley and Michael now. Gizelle reminds us 3 years ago on a dance floor, he grabbed Katie's ex-fiance's butt. Candace asks if he was drunk and if that's the common denominator. Gizelle says to Robyn she's bringing it up. Gizelle asks Robyn how she didn't tell her this. Gizelle to camera says, listen, I can't even check Monique about this Amistad thing right now because there's breaking news about the penis. Then we see Karen arriving. She says she'll be cordial with Gizelle. Obviously, that never lasts for very long. Ashley and Katie arrive. Ashley says she's apprehensive when she's walking in. We see the two of them hug, and this is like their last peaceful moment before the shit hits the fan. So Ashley brings up where Candace said there were crocodile tears over her miscarriage, and that's so messed up. You can't say that about somebody. That's terrible. Candace says, I feel like Michael is lying and putting it on for the congregation. Candace then starts making fun of Ashley and pretend crying over the miscarriage. Ashley brings up that they are in Candace's mother's house. Candace yells, don't talk about my mother right now, while banging her butter knife on the table. She starts waving the knife around. Chris has to pull her off and restrain her. She yells, you will not discuss my mother in my house. You can get the F out. So that is a hell of an episode. I think it's brought up maybe in the next episode. It's BS how Candace can hit below the belt, but as soon as somebody else hits below the belt, she loses her mind. She waves the knife around. Also, Candace has a weird fixation on Ashley. It's crazy. It's like an obsession. And yeah, so I find that really interesting. I thought it was an excellent episode. So I'm going to go right into the next episode, episode 9, which is appropriately called Days of Our Knives. So they're freaking out still. Ashley stands up. Gizelle says there's an issue she was discussing earlier. It speaks to why she feels like your life with Michael is fraudulent. Gizelle says, I wasn't there, so I'll let Robyn take over. Oh, Gizelle. I really like Gizelle. I always have. I've had a soft spot for her, but damn, she can stir some stuff up. It was not her place to tell this. She wasn't there. She didn't hear it. And if she was going to tell Ashley, it did not have to be in front of everybody, especially when not poor Ashley. Ashley's a shit stirrer too, but when Ashley was getting attacked by Candace, the whole thing was wrong. So, let's see, Robyn to camera, what the F? Robyn starts telling Ashley about the other night. Michael walked past us and said, yeah, I'd suck his D. Ashley screams and says, no, he did not. Was I there? Robyn says, yes. Ashley asked if she dreamed it. When Candace mentioned it to Robyn, Robyn remembered too. Ashley wants to know who he was talking about. Robyn says, one of our men, and I'm not going to say who. I think that's weird too. I don't understand why they're just... it would make it feel less true if they're not giving up all the information. If we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it. Ashley is completely shocked. Candace is still freaking out. Chris is telling her to stay in control. Monique wants to know which penis he wants to suck. Says she has a right to know since it's one of the men in the group. Candace comes back all giddy about the Michael penis stuff. Ashley calls her a simpleton. Candace says she's speaking the truth. Ashley says, oh, like when you called Katie Amistad, just like that? Flashback, and of course it was Monique saying that. Ashley and Candace are yelling. Candace says she can get the F out. It's starting to get more physical again, to the point where Chris had to restrain her. Again, Ashley's walking out. Gizelle walked out after her. Gizelle said that Robyn co-signed it after Candace said it. And they said Ashley heard it too and scurried him away. Gizelle says she should stay and make things better. Karen says to the table, it's cool if he wants to be gay, and she's his beard, but he's disrespectful of Ashley. It seems to be Karen versus Gizelle is how I see it. Karen is getting Candace riled up, and Gizelle is getting Ashley all riled up. She's asking Robyn to elaborate on what was said. Chris speaks up and explains that he heard it too. Candace saying, Ashley, you were there, you heard it. Candace screams and tries to climb up on the table. Ashley tells her to grow up. Karen says it's cool being gay, just have the conversation. Ashley leaves, tells Candace it's her mom's house again. Candace slams the door behind her. Karen says, let me hug you, Robyn, which I thought was weird. It's kind of a weird gloaty thing. It's like she's excited that Robyn brought this up. Monique pulls Katie aside to talk about the comment. Ashley comes back in. They're all gathered by the door. Candy's being just total shitty to everybody. She's being shitty to Chris. And this is pretty funny because Ashley makes a joke about popping candy with her purse like her mom did. All right, that's pretty messed up. Candace is crying, saying, don't come in my house and disrespect me. Karen brings up her mom and asks about her mom hitting her. Monique says you're emotional about your mom, but you don't point it in her direction. If anyone else says it, then you give them what you want to give her. And I think Monique is the voice of reason, and I think she nailed that perfectly. That's exactly what I think too. Candace has so much resentment toward her mom, which I get because her mom is an awful person. But she's so shitty to everybody, especially Ashley, and she takes it out on the wrong people instead of addressing it with her mom. So we see Ashley and Katie in the car. Katie straight up asks, is he gay? Does he hook up with guys? And Ashley says, no, he's not. My husband didn't say it. And then they start talking about why Robyn wouldn't tell her. And I get that. It's kind of shitty that she waits till Candace is piling on her to bring it up. But I still have to focus some of the blame on Gizelle because it sounds like Robyn was just going to drop it and pretend like she didn't hear it. But Gizelle kind of put her on the spot. We see a sweet moment with Chris and Monique at the gym. They talk about the previous night's dinner. She explains what the Candace and Ashley feud, tells him about what Robyn and Candace had overheard Michael saying. So Gizelle goes to see Ashley and they talk. Ashley's performing in the Pride Festival, so she's been practicing. Gizelle tells her that Karen ran over her with 4 buses. Gizelle is basically throwing Karen under the bus here. She's saying that Karen said Ashley's asleep and in denial. Ashley thought she and Karen were forging a relationship because they had had such a good time in the salt cave. Ashley is completely denying Michael says that. And I think Gizelle was spot on. She said to camera, Ashley's holding this against Robyn instead of addressing this with Michael. Again, her and Candy are kind of alike. They have issues with these other people, but instead of addressing them, Candy with her mom, Ashley with Michael, they go after each other. Then we see Candace and her mom. They are going to therapy. They're going to go see Gizelle's therapist, Dr. Ken. Ooh, this is intense. So they get to talking, and I am not a Candace fan, but I gotta say, I think Candace did a great job here. She spoke clearly and confidently and held her own. So Candace brings up with the therapist that they went to a wedding this weekend, got into an argument that became physical. She got mad, and in her anger, she hit me with her purse. Mom at first denies it and says it's not true. But then she starts to admit that it is true and says, why do you even have to bring that up? So she flops between lying and denying. Candace says her mental health is at stake and starts to cry. And Mom is such a bitch. She says, oh, she likes to cry. Woo! Mom says, you can't paint me as a villain. It's brought up about the mom paying the bills, and they argue over that. So it's alleged that the mom, she's saying she pays about $4,000 a month. And Candace is like, no, that's not true. That the mom contributes a portion of the mortgage. And Candace brings up how she holds it over her head, and they go back and forth. Mom did not like at all that the therapist was siding with Candace, and it was getting tense. I mean, it was already tense. I cannot believe she's a therapist. I do not know who the heck would go to this lady after seeing this on camera and how awful she is. Believe me, I am not a Candace fan, but nobody deserves to be treated like that, especially by their mom. So Ashley's getting ready for her performance in Pride. Ladies are headed there. They're listening to Coffee and Love. It's Robyn and Gizelle and Cal, and they're explaining to Cal what happened and what Michael supposedly said. Gizelle FaceTimes with Ashley and shows her that Robyn's there. She says she's surprised Robyn's coming. Robyn says she's ready to have the conversation and try to work it out with Ashley. So they go to the Pride event, and she's performing there with her brother Zach. She sings Coffee and Love. Gizelle has the funniest line of the episode. She says to camera, it's the best sibling-composed love song to a husband that wants to suck penis. Talking about Coffee and Love. I thought that was so funny. That's why I'll always have a soft spot for Gizelle. She just has the funniest lines sometimes. So after the performance, Ashley goes to talk to Robyn and Gizelle. Ashley says she's happy that Robyn came, but she says she's upset because she felt like Robyn was using that opportunity to attack her at the same time that Candace was. Robyn says, did you not hear Gizelle say Candace brought it up and that she let Robyn take over? And that's true. That's exactly what happened. Candace brought it up, and Gizelle, talked about it in front of everybody at the worst possible time. And poor Robyn was just kind of left hanging. And I never say poor Robyn, but in this case, poor Robyn was just kind of thrown under the bus. So she had to tell what they were talking about. So they go back and forth. Ashley's mad. She's saying that her lack of understanding and empathy is just unbelievable, and that Robyn has no sense of friendship. So she walks off, and then we're on to episode 10, Showdown at the Hoedown. So Gizelle and Robyn are meeting up at the home store. It's revealed that Gizelle's offer was accepted on the house. She got it for $900,000, so it's less than the $1 million asking price. She was excited. She's going to be adding her level to the house. Robyn talks about her renovation and what a disaster it's been. Robyn says she has no idea what she's in for. Gizelle and Robyn talk about Penisgate. Robyn's point is that she's not the one that brought it up. Gizelle says she wasn't there and she's trying not to get involved. Robyn says they should have pulled Ashley aside and talked to her about it. And Gizelle admits that Robyn's right. That's what they should have done. Then we go over to Chris's restaurant. Candace shows up. They talk about therapy. She talks about how Mom diminishes her when she doesn't agree with Candace. Chris says, not even aggressively, he just says, well, that's what you do to me when we argue. Candace starts getting pissy. It starts going sideways. She's just such a child about this stuff. She is like her mom, and it's interesting that the editors show this. She walks off. Chris chases after her and says, just see the other side. He brings up Ashley the other night, and Candace says to him, shut the F up. That's not a great start to your marriage. He tells her to fix it with her mom. She shoves him out of the way and ends up driving off. And I just didn't care for that at all. I thought that was pretty awful. So we see Monique meeting up with Ashley. They're going baby clothes shopping. They talk about having babies. Ashley says she still has this desire to have a baby regardless of what's going on with Michael. To which I say, Ashley, run. What are you thinking? That's crazy. Don't tie yourself to this man. Monique says to Ashley that Candace was dead set on Candace and Ashley having an issue. Monique says she's never been so uncomfortable in someone else's house. And again, I say, Monique, you're the voice of reason. I just really like her. I like her. This is probably my favorite season with her. She's very clear and level-headed, and she seems to see things clearly. Even later when she freaks out, she apologizes afterwards, and I just think she's very level-headed, and I like the commentary she adds to all the situations. Ashley and Monique walk off hugging, and Ashley's saying, I just want peace. Then we get that flash of 2 days later. Holy cow, you guys. I knew it was coming, but to see it in black and white, it was crazy. So we see Robyn reacting and the group texting about it. We see even a clip of Wendy Williams talking about the Real Housewives of Potomac sex scandal. We get what looks to be a police report or a complaint of what happened. It's a sexual assault complaint, and it says Michael Darby grabbed and groped, and so gross. Oh, he's so bad. It's terrible. I cannot believe he did this. And we see this creepy ass picture of Michael superimposed with it. He's charged with sexual assault and can face 3 to 11 years in jail. I was completely shocked when Monique reveals it happened at the Rainbow Party. Did you guys know that? Oh my God, the Rainbow Party. So Ashley was like crying and spilling her guts out about her loss. Michael walks off, quote unquote, crying, and this happens. That is the most disgusting, awful thing. It's never, no assault ever is okay. But this just grossed me out even worse. He is terrible. She should run for the hills. We see time and date stamps, which we don't normally get on these shows. We see that Ashley is shopping with Katie for the Hoedown, which is going to be at Katie's house. And Ashley gets a phone call. Oh, for a second here. You guys, Katie, in this scene with these glasses and this hairstyle, tell me you've seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. If you have, there's a character in there named Justice, and it's played by Shannon Elizabeth, and she looks exactly like Katie in the scene. That's all I could think about. Okay, continuing. She gets a phone call from Gizelle, and Gizelle says she's calling to check on her, that she was worried for her. Ashley says she didn't know about it, and then says it was a preliminary case that the judge threw out. Denial. Ashley to camera says she had a breakdown, and that when she first found out, still doesn't understand completely what's happening. And to that I say, well, you need to find out. This is really serious and awful. And instead of just blindly protecting him, find out what the heck happened. Gizelle expresses concern for her. Ashley says she's not worried about it. And it was just a weird, awkward, forced moment. And they hang up. Candace goes over to Monique's house. They're talking about the baby. Monique asks and makes jokes about hiding her butter knives. So they're talking back and forth, and Monique is being, again, super level-headed here and is calmly telling Candace, don't let Ashley get under your skin. Monique says Ashley's getting a lot of karma right now, and they show all the times that Ashley's been shitty to all them. Monique explains to Candace that she's not giving off the I'm in control vibes. Monique talks about the temper tantrum that she witnessed. She doesn't want her stuff with her mom to spill over with her marriage. And Monique says it's spilling off on your friendships. And I thought it was a great conversation. It's so weird. Candace brings this up later and gets pissy about it, but I thought Monique was very clear and, again, level-headed. And the advice she gave her is just to back off Ashley. Don't be so obsessed. And her anger with her mom is spilling over everywhere. So we go out to Katie's house. Katie's got a farmhouse. It's 18 acres. It looks gorgeous out there. Robyn calls it a weird breath of fresh air. While I don't love the interior of her house, I thought the property was really pretty. Karen and Monique are writing together. Gizelle and Ashley are writing together. Gizelle says she owes Ashley an apology for bringing it up at the table. Ashley to camera says Gizelle loves to stir the pot, but Robyn took the spoon, and it's usually me holding the spoon. And I thought that was a funny moment of self-awareness from Ashley. So, of course, Karen and Monique are writing together. Karen brings up the whole Michael thing. Monique remembers the cameraman that day and remembers kind of alluding to something happening, but they had no idea what it was. Karen says consent is everything. Woo! Let's see. So Gizelle brings up the Michael stuff. Ashley says she can't talk about it, and that she and Michael are stronger than ever. Again, deny. Ooh. I don't even know what to say. That Michael's awful. So all the ladies arrive. Ashley arrives. She pretends over the top. She's pretending to be happy. Robyn pulls Ashley aside and says, I'm sorry for what you're going through right now. I understand more why it was such a touchy issue with what's going on behind the scenes. And they hug, and that was a nice moment. They play games. Gizelle says this hoedown has some hoes actually down. So they sit down to eat. Candace apologizes to the table for the ridiculous outbursts. She says she doesn't want to make people invited to her home uncomfortable in her home. She made sure to say in her home about 13 times, as if that proves something. Gizelle rightly says, well, the apology should go to that side of the table, pointing to Ashley. Candace says, well, that should happen separately. Karen to camera is saying Giselle's being messy, which she is, but I also say Karen's being messy, because again, it's like Gizelle and Ashley versus Karen and Candace. Ashley says, thank you, I appreciate that. She brings up the elephant in the room and says she can't share what's going on, and she just encourages them to wait for the truth and wait for the truth to come out. So Karen says, I was in your seat before, referring to when they had IRS troubles and were being investigated. She said, I hope this goes in your favor. Gizelle says, but Karen, you were high-fiving Robyn. And they do flash back to when Karen ran over and gave Robyn a hug after Robyn told the story. Ashley says, you have a lot of skeletons in your closet. Monique says, all y'all were wrong. And again, I love her. She's so right. Everybody's wrong. Katie is trying to squash it all. Candace says, I want us to be friends as long as you are honest and respectful with the group. Robyn says to Candace, you have to understand everyone has to fight their own battles. Candace says, if I observe things that don't look right, I have to say something. I have no vendetta against you, Ashley, but I'm not going to ignore things that sound like BS. Gizelle says, when you say things like that to her, like your marriage or your pregnancy sound like BS, that's judgment. And Candace is like, no, that's my opinion. Monique says, the difference is when I talk to you, it's as a friend. When you talk to Ashley, you're going after her. Well said, Monique. That's how I feel too. It's not a friendly place. I mean, she is going after her. It's a weird jealousy thing or obsession. Candace says, I'm done talking to all you hypocrites. Monique says, you don't want to hear it. And they kind of scream back and forth. Katie toasts to the fake bitches and ass grabbing, which I thought was really a funny toast. Ashley and Karen go back and forth. Ashley brings up that Karen was nice to her face, and as soon as she left, she was being awful, which is not wrong. They scream back and forth. Ashley says, get the F out of my face. Karen says, karma's a bitch, honey. Ashley brings up the IRS, and Karen says, clinkety clink, that bar of soap, you might want to help your husband. Woo! That is wild. So Candace and Karen kind of go away and kiss each other's asses a little bit. Candace says, I can't receive being chastised. Monique says, you're doing the same things as she did last year. Monique then says Candace does not want a real friend, somebody who will check her. Karen says she thinks Candace needs a friend. Monique does end up apologizing for threatening Candace. She gets upset and Candace walks away. Monique says it's all messed up. Candace to camera says she's fighting with her mom, fighting with her husband, fighting with her friends. She says she's better than this, so she has to figure out how to turn this around with everyone. Then we see a flash of next time. We see Monique at the sonogram with Chris and her children. Candace and her mom are going back and forth. Robyn is talking about having another baby. Monique goes to dinner with a bunch of the ladies and their husbands, and it's brought up how she had gotten together with Ashley. And then it looks like it's Gizelle versus Ashley. So I'm very excited to see what the heck happens. I thought these were such good 3 episodes. We have so much drama and craziness going on with this show. It's been so good. It's hard to compare any other franchise to this one. Every episode is just 100 miles per hour. I thought the MVP of this episode, I keep saying it, I'll say it again, was Monique. I thought she was very clear and very smart, had a great take on everything. And yeah, I thought it was a great couple of episodes. So, wow, I'm shaken. I cannot wait to find out what the hell is going on with Michael. If he did these things, then he needs to be locked up because that's awful. And yeah, that's all I got. So thank you so much for watching this with me. I really appreciate it. I will continue to try to get these out before the new season starts. I'm going to do my very best. Hopefully I make it in time, but I will be covering the new season. Can't wait to cover that. And I'm covering Real Housewives of New York, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and Below Deck Med, and I just so appreciate everything. Thank you for all the wonderful comments. I love talking to you guys. Find me on Twitter. I'm at Real Recaps, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.